Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Champions of the Continent video. Tonight, Square Enix announced that Primrose is going to be our next traveler that's coming to the game. So in this video, I wanted to go over her kit and determine should you pull. Alright, so let's go over her stats at max. Her stats are fairly similar to Lynette, the other 5-star dancer in the game. She has a little bit more SP, about 5 more points. But I really want to note her magic stat is almost 40 points higher than Lynette's, and her speed stat is much higher than Lynette's. So while their stats are similar, Primrose does have some advantages in the magic and speed department. So now let's go over her skills and passives. So Primrose is a dark magic attack user, and she's also a buffer. Her first buff that she gets with her 3-star is a full front row 20% attack and defense for 2 turns. Her next buff comes at her 5-star panel, which is a full front row 20% attack, magic, and speed up for 2 to 5 turns. So she starts off being a very offensive buffer for your offensive party members. But then as she levels up and a little bit later into her kit, she will buff attack, magic, and speed, which is something that Lynette doesn't get. Lynette only does magic and attack, and Primrose can buff up defense and speed as well. Her 1-star passive is when at 75% HP or higher, she will restore 5% of her max HP per turn. This is amazing. This utility is just what magic attack and buffers need in order to make sure that their buffs are staying on the party. And her 3-star passive is buffs casted by Primrose get a +1 turn duration. And again, this is something that is always needed by buffers and debuffers, something that can get extended so that you don't have to, consistently spam those abilities over and over again, wasting, precious SP. If you look at her 5-star, it costs 70 SP for that big buff. That's a ton. And her 3-star is 50% as well, which is a lot. She does have 500 SP, so it can run out quickly, but that 1-star passive is going to give her a little bit of a longer duration when it comes to fights. She can chip away at that fan weakness, and she's also got dark multi-attacks too. And she can inflict 15% dark defense down with her 4-star attack as well. So all in all, a really great offensive kit, and she provides a lot of utility as well. So how does she compare to Lynette? First off, Primrose can buff attack and defense, magic, and speed, whereas Lynette is really only buffing attack and magic. Primrose has a higher magic stat, so she does have a little bit more offensive capability, and she can extend her own buffs. Lynette is just a little bit more generic in where she's buffing attack and magic, and then she has her offensive fire and her multi-hit fan and fire attacks. And when you have them side by side, you can see their stats are extremely similar, but where Primrose suffers in attack and defense and magic defense, she makes up for with her speed and her magic stat, which are all very high, super good, and will ultimately come in handy with your party. In any fight that you're going into, Primrose can definitely be an asset. So should you pull? Yes. Primrose is a high magic dark attacker with an attack defense buff and an attack magic and speed buff. She can chip away at dark and fan weaknesses. She can restore her own SP when her HP is 75% or higher, and she can extend her own buffs. I'm gonna pull for her, but I don't have like a specific magic dark attacker, which is something that I need. And then her buffs will always come in handy. I can have Primrose in one row and Lynette in the other, and making sure that those buffs are always up and ready to go. So I will definitely be pulling. I used her in JP and she was always super helpful, and I'm excited to have her on my team this early in global. But I will say, I do think Square Enix kind of dropped the ball on this because so many people went all out for Lynette, and I do think that Primrose is a better buffer. Lynette can start buffing at a lower level, whereas you need much more investment in Primrose. But ultimately, she's going to be a really solid character to anyone's roster, and I'm excited to see how people use her. So are you excited for Primrose, and do you plan on pulling? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching as always. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.